History, very, very interesting. As a deputy head teacher at Kirkby High School in Wigan, which was an outstanding school and a national support school, we ran various school-to-school support contracts which were generally working with middle leaders in areas where there was underperformance in possibly maths or English, or actually possibly across the school. Maybe the pupil premium was somewhere where they needed to refocus and look at how they were going to generate their own strategies for that. And I'll come back to the idea of generating your own strategies and having your own ownership, because that's a key really that runs through everything I'm trying to do in Kirkby in terms of senior leadership there. So Kirkby, I came there in 2013, Christmas, after a very damning Ofsted report and 3 years of below floor standard attainment. So in a bit of a pickle really. Proposal was for it to be a forced academy from September, which it became. September 2013, it became Kirkby High School then. It was Kirkby Sports College before then. And really, what will be a common thread in what I talk to you about is the school ethos, and I make no apology about that, because it's the one thing that really has bound the sense of community throughout the whole establishment. You know, teachers, students, cleaning staff, caterers, parents, wider community, governors, they all need to feel that they are part of the single common goal, which is achievement for those students, and, crucially, the kind of right person when they leave. And all of that really is what we're working on at the moment. Obviously, what I'm here to talk about is middle leadership and how middle leadership is driven forward. So in Kirkby at the moment, one of the things that really wasn't working properly was the connect really between the leadership tier and the rest of the staff. And your only conduit to get that right is the middle leadership tier. As a senior leader in school, you cannot physically have that day-to-day presence with every teacher in every classroom all the time. I spend a lot of my time walking around the school, but with the best will in the world, I'm not going to have all those right conversations with those members of staff. So the only way that can possibly happen is if your middle leadership tier are absolutely on board with the core philosophies and the ethos and the drive for the school. And when you walk into a school where that's not already the case, you have really quite a big job on, not just in terms of coming in and telling people what to do, because that just doesn't work. In terms of coming in and spending your time on the common vision and values and the common shared understanding. And any initiatives that come in have to come up through the middle leadership tier from the bottom up. Otherwise you don't get the buy-in and it just doesn't work in the way that it's currently working. Now we have made massive strides. I describe us as being a very long way along our improvement journey. Not near the end, but a long way and a lot further than we thought we'd be. We were validated by a couple of monitoring visits which were very, very glowing about the school. We're now in that funny kind of limbo position where we're not quite sure when we'll be inspected again. We're not quite sure what it will look like, because there was the we're not technically a school in special measures anymore since we became an academy, but there's an announcement that we would get monitoring visits, so we're not quite sure how that will work out, but people will come in and we'll show them, it'll be fine. So a couple of questions I was asked to respond to is, how can middle leadership impact on the wider school achievement? Well, it kind of is the wider school achievement. Your middle leaders, especially your department middle leaders, but also your pastoral middle leaders, have to understand the intervention agenda. They have to understand the way that how we're going to get the outcomes for the children impacts across the whole school, not just in their isolated area. Because you're going to go to your heads of faculty in the areas which now have become lower tier subjects, effectively, with the new accountability measures, and you're going to ask them to support the whole school drive for making sure that we achieve that Progress 8 measure. And it does mean that there will be a higher status to some subjects than others. And what's really important is that your heads of technology, say, don't think that they are the poor relations and realise that they are pushing toward that whole package of achievement. That aspiration and target culture was something that when I came into my current school really wasn't there. I had many conversations with parents saying, oh, it's lovely what you're doing, you know, I really think you're looking after my children, but it is Kirkby at the end of the day. And it just runs through Kirkby. There are probably 30 to 40 years of low aspirations in that area. Now that job of building those children up to actually believing they will achieve is just about half the battle. And we've done that through embedding the aspirations with a really stringent and personalised target setting agenda. So we've disconnected the idea of targets for children being used for accountability at all. Members of staff are told to set the highest targets they possibly can that are just about achievable for those students, and we will never jump out of a cupboard with a stick and say you didn't achieve your targets. We will use other measures to look at the accountability for groups of students and for staff. And that drive for the consistency of ethos and that safety idea for your middle leaders to say, actually, I've got an issue. In these classes at the moment, I have an issue with children not doing this, or I have an issue with something else. Unless your middle leaders feel safe to have those conversations with you, then there will be hidden, bubbling problems that you never really get to the bottom of. So what changes have I noticed in the perception of middle leaders and the development of middle leadership skills over the years? Well, the last 20 years really, and certainly since I was a middle leader in a school, which on reflection, having learned quite a lot, I probably wasn't anywhere near as good at as I should have been, I would say they've turned from kind of poster monitors to the engine room of the school really. And I like that analogy, that, you know, if you're steering a ship, you've got the captain and you've got all the people doing all the various jobs, but the engine room is your middle leadership tier. And if it stops, you're in a lot of trouble. So again, it's about that buy-in, that ethos and that common purpose. I'm running out of time, knew that would happen. Okay, there's also an increasing pressure on middle leaders at the moment, and I think that's especially the case if they don't feel fully involved in all the kind of the aspirations for the school and what the common goal is. Right, I'm going to move on. I'm going to leave you with I'll ask for 3 sort of practical pointers for the audience in addressing how they can build their skills as middle leaders, so no pressure there. I'm not going to give you 3 practical pointers. I am just going to give you 3 words which for me embody how you make your middle leadership tier believe they are the most important people in the school, because in certain ways they are, and realise that they're going to move the school forward. And it's opportunity for middle leaders, which is where this kind of initiative is so crucial. Challenge for middle leaders, and I haven't talked about the faculty health checks because I haven't had time, but we do spend our time, a lot of our time in senior leadership and with middle leaders, basically inspecting various areas of the school and writing reports on that. And inclusion. That inclusion for your middle leaders in all of those processes and feeling they're part of that. And the last thing I'll leave you is, does the whole community in the area that you serve believe you will do what you say you will do? And that's where it comes back to the ethos again. When you have those battles, the makeup, the hair, the right shoes, the not chewing in class, it's more than just that single issue. It's about, are you going to say, we will not have chewing, and you make sure it happens no matter how dogmatic you have to be, because the other side of that is you're going to say, we're going to get you the best results you can get.